All right, welcome back. Your time now 7:46, and there is a youth vaping epidemic that the Coalition for a Tobacco-Free Hawaii's Youth Council is working to fight against. And statewide youth coordinator Scott Stensrud and one of the youth members, Logan Lau, both joining me live on Zoom this morning with more. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for waking up early. First of all, I mean, I know there's always been kind of variations of this when we were all in school. I feel like we try and, ingrain the dangers of tobacco from a young age, but obviously this vaping epidemic really kind of getting out of control. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about the problem that we're seeing here in Hawaii?
Sure. Right now, we're seeing about 1 in 3 high school youth that are using vape products, e-cigarettes on a regular basis. About 1 in 5 middle school students, and now we're starting to hear from elementary school principals. They're alarmed at seeing use at that young age. And the reason this is a concern is because nicotine is highly addictive, as we know, but it impacts memory, concentration, cognition, impulse control, all the things that kids need to be successful in school. And it also increases stress and anxiety, which we know our youth don't need any more of.
Scott, it's one thing for parents or adults to try and say something, but peer pressure, obviously a big thing as well. So Logan, I mean, you're in school right now. So what grade are you in, and kind of how did you get involved in this, and what do you sort of notice when it comes to this?
Yeah, so currently I am a senior attending Kamehameha schools, and I think one of the biggest things I've noticed is that the big tobacco and targeted marketing has played a pretty key role in driving the youth vaping epidemic here in Hawaii, especially in a lot of our schools with, as Scott mentioned, kind of the peer pressure as well. It's kids jumping on the bandwagon these days, and it does get a little out of hand, especially at, I think, a lot of high schools in Hawaii as well.
And so I know obviously we're in the middle of legislative session too. What are some of the bills that you guys are kind of looking to see our lawmakers work on this session?
So currently there's 2 main bills, mainly HB 1570 and SB 3118, and they're both still alive, and they focus on ending the sale of all flavored tobacco products in Hawaii through legislative bans. But while this is really great news, recently we as a youth council have been having serious concerns about the amendments that were actually added to HB 1570 that really undermine the original intent of the bill. So really now we're simply hoping that either the Senate will address those issues or that the House will pass SB 3118.
And so, Scott, kind of compared to past years, I mean, cigarettes, maybe when we were younger versus, vaping now, I mean, how much more dangerous is it today? And is it a bigger problem now than maybe in previous generations?
Yeah, while combustible cigarette use is at historic lows for youth, the e-cigarette use is just skyrocketing, which is just a huge concern. And the nicotine levels in these products is much, much higher than you find in combustible cigarettes. And the concern too is that by youth starting and being enticed into using e-cigarettes, primarily through flavors, that it will lead to a lifetime addiction to tobacco, and it will, eventually lead them to combustible cigarettes as well.
And, so before we go, I'll give you the last word, Logan. I know you guys have an event tomorrow. Can you kind of briefly let us know what that is and how people can get involved?
Absolutely. So tomorrow the Youth Council will be setting up our slipper display on the state capitol front lawn to really illustrate the monumental impact that tobacco has on Hawaii. So the slipper display represents the 21,000 youth alive today who will ultimately die from tobacco-related illnesses if smoking rates don't decline. So I guess to put a name to the number per se, we highly encourage individuals to write the name of a loved one who has been negatively impacted by smoking or e-cigarette usage on a small piece of paper, and then attach that paper to a pair of slippers, which will actually be integrated into the display itself. And so for the display, we're accepting donations anytime from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. And then following those public displays, all the slippers received will be donated to Hawaii's houseless population and then other at-risk youth as well. So I think on behalf of the Youth Council, we truly believe that saving these 21,000 lives requires preventative measures now. And by ending the sale of flavored tobacco in Hawaii through passing bills like HB 1570 and SB 3118, we'll be one step closer to making that happen.
Yeah, so well, we appreciate it, and we're all going to get our slippers ready for tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and again, that's going to be happening tomorrow at the Capitol, the Slipper display, starting at 7 a.m. We'll have all the details on that at KITV.com. Meanwhile, time now 7:51. We're off for a break. You're watching Good Morning Hawaii. We'll be right back.